You're listening to Zen and the Art of Endurance, your podcast for getting great at going long.
Well, hey there, all you endurance studs and studettes, and welcome to another great episode of Zen and the Art of Endurance, the podcast where we go long and learn a lot about ourselves along the way. Well, gang, I have something really special for you today. I promised you last episode I would continue working on making the audio quality of the long bike rides even better. And we have nailed it. I am over the moon at the sound quality of this one. I take you with me on a long bike ride, talking about all the endurance news and gear and gadgets and Unbound, the issue with people crashing because of panic. And we run into a couple fishing on the bank of the Navasota River and passing joggers in the local park, going into the gas station, filling up on water, and testing out the new Amazfit T-Rex 3 that I got my hands on for Father's Day. And it is a competitor to the Garmin Fenix 8 at probably a quarter of the price. It is a fantastic watch. So I'm putting it through its paces while out on a ride, almost getting stuck in the mud down by the Brazos River. It's just an awesome ride, and the sound quality is so good that I cannot wait for you to listen to it. And yeah, the topics I talk about, I bring it up as they occur and as I'm doing things out there on the bike. I get chased by dogs several times. You can hear all that. Like, it is such a great show of audio content. But let's back up for a second and talk about the watch, which you're going to hear details on throughout the show. So Garmin came out with the Fenix 8, and then that was about 8 months ago. And then the next watch they came out with was an improvement to the Forerunner, which is more of like, instead of their Explorer kind of watch, all-purpose watch, it's more of like their running watch. And my watches, I have a Fenix 5 and I have a Forerunner 945, and they're the older style now that has like kind of a dim display. And one other killer feature that I've been wanting for a long time, two of them actually. One is a flashlight that's built into the watch, which I could use tremendously because I get up in the morning and I'm trying to get my stuff together to go do swim, bike, or run, and the lights are off in our bedroom and Emily's still asleep and I don't want to wake her up. And the T-Rex 3, the Amazfit, has the thing where the display lights up so bright that you can actually use it as a flashlight. So I talk about that on this show, like how effective is that? And then the other thing is it records voice notes. And I've tried it out. I don't think I'm going to put it in this episode. I'll save that for next episode because there's already enough in this episode to drag it out for hours. And it takes a long time to put a show together. But I've tested it out and it's pretty freaking cool. Between sets of swimming, I can record a voice note to myself. I'm like, oh, hey, don't forget that you got to turn in this TPS report by noon today. Because like thoughts occur to you while you're working out, you know? And then what's a way that you're going to write them down? Pull out your phone, your hands are wet, you know, you're sweating all over the place, say you're running. What about just doing a long press of a button on your watch and then you can get a voice recorder? And what this watch does is you can transfer them off your phone or off your watch to your phone, and then from your phone to whatever you want. And I've already done it once. I dropped one right into this software right here, no problem. And the Garmin Fenix and whatever the Garmin ecosystem, somehow it's a lot harder to get them off of your watch and use later for other things. And what I really want to do is for the podcast is have audio clips while I'm doing stuff. And the Fenix, the T-Rex, is actually superior to the Fenix as far as getting audio off the device and into a format that actually we can turn into shows. So that was like an interesting thing there. And then also the killer feature is it's got Chat GPT built right in, so I can ask it questions. And during the ride, I tell you about some of the questions that I ask it. It's pretty funny, and it's legit. It really does go out and ask Chat GPT out on the internet the answers to your questions, like what's the height of Mount Everest, things that are not on the watch. It goes and finds them and brings them back. And this is all for much, much less than the Garmin comparable devices. And the big question is this a device that's actually usable? And what are the shortcomings compared to the Garmin stuff, right? So over the next bunch of episodes, I'll bring it up on occasion, things that I'm trying out. I'm a dedicated Garmin user for so long, and also Suunto, that it's really interesting trying out something that's a different ecosystem that costs so much less. And, is it legit? Does the thing actually work? And I think you're going to be really surprised and interested and engaged in kind of like, where does this go? Because the big question is this a Garmin Fenix 8 or a Garmin 970 killer? And killer is a strong word. That means it's so good that it's actually better than one of those. And it's like impossible to be better than one of those. But for the price, is it good enough? And what I'm finding so far is what we can get down to is it actually got enough really cool features that once you kind of figure out where they are in the menus and everything, maybe you could save some money and invest it in other things like bike parts or a swimming membership or something like that. I've only had it for a couple of days, and I can say right now that I am having a blast. It really is a lot of fun. So yeah, stay tuned through the episode as I kind of fiddle through with the watch and we talk about that and a million other things that just make for a great episode. So sit back, relax, or hop on your bike or throw on your running shoes and join me for a long bike ride in the Texas heat as impending thunderstorms start rolling in and it starts raining by the end of the show. Here we go. All right, folks, we are getting ready to go on a 4-hour ride, hopefully no longer. And it's going to be hot and humid, but it's sunny right now, but it's supposed to rain this afternoon. So hopefully it'll get a little bit overcast and cool things off. And we are testing out a couple things for fun. We've got the new Amazfit T-Rex 3 on my wrist, which has been out for a few months now. And I got a good discount. And it's I would say a competitor to Garmin Fenix 8. I would say the major physical difference right from the beginning is it doesn't have a built-in light on the outside of the watch, but it's got the shortcuts and everything so that you can turn the screen on super bright, and the screen is twice as bright as it's 2000 nits instead of 1000 nits than the Garmin Fenix. And one of the reasons I got this watch is I'm on a Garmin Fenix 5 and a Garmin Forerunner 945, which is the old style of display, which is pretty dim. And there've been so many advancements in the watches between three versions, from 5 to 8, that it's like a completely, the Garmin Fenix 8 is like a completely revolutionary better watch, except it's $1,000, and even the 970 Forerunner is $800, And this watch, retail prices, the Amazfit T-Rex, $270, and then I found it on Amazon for $230, I think. So the bang for the buck is the big question is it worth any shortcomings that it's got? And I found some things that are better and some things that are worse. So I don't know if they're worse, just different. So, I don't know. We're gonna test this thing out. And then what I did is I bought a refurbed one because I've had some good luck with some refurb stuff. And so then it was down to 175 or 178. And I can't tell any difference in the watch. It's completely the same. It looks like mint. I've been wearing it for a day. And the other thing is we're on the front doorstep here, getting ready to ride. Bike going there. And the other thing is I get a health rebate from work for $150 towards health equipment. So it cost me $25. So that's where we're at. Drinking a last bit of liquids before we get going. And let's kick this baby off. I'm going to record just a tiny bit right now to kind of tell you what we're doing. And 60-something mile single speed gravel ride, 50-50 mix. And I'm not going to test out all the features on the watch right now because I just got it and I want to enjoy my bike ride. But let's see. So like I'm not going to pair it with my power meter pedals. It's supposed to work. And there's something else. I'm not going to start off right from the beginning recording it as a bike ride. And because it's not really, for me, a bike ride watch. I've got a great Garmin bike computer. I got an 840. So, we need to grab my headphones, the Triz up. Yeah, so we're on my flat bar gravel single speed with mountain bike front tire and aero bars. So I can go fast out on the road, or when it's gravel and not technical, go way faster with the aero bars. And we've got the Varia rear radar. And what else do we have out here? High-tech power meter pedals, the Asioma power meter pedals. And another thing is we've got the recording. I just washed my bike. It had grit all over it, so it's going to sound a little bit gritty. Grit wears off. And I get away from the house a little bit and turn on the bike computer because I have a power meter on my indoor trainer that the bike computer likes to pick up if I'm too close. So we're just going to record a second. Record just a second here. Another thing I'm really interested in is, let's turn on the bike computer, get going, is the last show I recorded and the mic sensitivity was set on auto. So what it did is it picked up gravel like really loudly. And like, I think it was too much. And the funny thing about audio is people really pick it. And the audio that you're going to hear either right before or right after this audio right now is where I went for a gravel ride, and I set it on low sensitivity, and it was fine. But afterwards, I was kind of like, maybe do I want to calibrate my power? It's picking up heart rate. I'm wearing a heart rate wrist strap. I'm not broadcasting off my watch, the T-Rex, although it can, which I actually want to talk about. One of the interesting, there's a bird upset about normalized power. Let's do a lap around the block here. I'm at the end of the cul-de-sac, just circle around. I'm setting my rear radar to blinky. And what I'm trying to figure out is the medium setting actually better, because then you can hear a little bit more of the surrounding. Yeah, there's my radar. So now let me clip on my helmet, activate my headphones. I'm wearing the waterproof, the swimming version of the head shot or shocks. I use them to swim, but also if it's going to be really hot and sweaty, then these won't get killed. Oh, and I did something really stupid, was I left my shoes wet, my cycling shoes. Oh, last episode, there's a fantastic crash with me and Gary, but now my shoes have a hole ripped in them. They're speed holes, like from The Simpsons, but my cleats rusted. That'll be fun. So I waxed them with wax lube, and let's descend down the street, and then I'm going to turn off the mic for a little bit. It's 8 o'clock, almost on the dot. It's 8:05. I can see on my cool watch. And yeah, I want to record on and off the gravel and in and out of traffic to see if that's the right level for audio. There's a bunny rabbit, Mexican cottontail. Kai's not with me today. He's taking a break from biking. He's raced so much, and he's back for the summer, and it's so miserable outside. And he's starting a job at REI. So, could not be more proud of him. But there's a lot of training. REI actually pays benefits even to part-time employees. And he's just doing a summer job working in the bike shop. But he's also an Eagle Scout. We're cutting through the woods here. And let's drop down through some grass. Oh, and I sawed down my handlebars up onto a curb. I sawed down my handlebars so they don't stick out as much. They're more like, instead of modern mountain bike width, they're like 90s mountain bike width, which is more appropriate for gravel. And you don't need really wide handlebars off of a curb. Ooh, that front tire's so soft. And sun is out. Nice. There's another bunny rabbit. I'm on a single speed, so I can only go so fast. You might be able to hear that tire go wee. That front tire, it's got a little bit of tread on it. It's Kai's old mountain bike racing tire. It's a 2.4. It might be a Bontrager or something like that. But the center tread is worn really worn down. And yeah, we're riding into a little bit of a wind. And I guess what I'll do is I'm going to record the first part of the ride because it gets so hot and so miserable. The second part of the ride, I find that I'm not in... There's these long pauses where I'm trying not to die, you know. So when the new Fenix 8 came out, I got... Looking back, you know, knowing yourself is part of the path to enlightenment. And I was like, I really wanted that watch. And I'm like, we don't have the money for that watch right now. It's stupid. When I have watches that function, the Fenix 8 for $1,000. I'm going through a shopping center right now. So what I did to placate myself for a while was I bought a Seiko Mod diving watch for $150 with sapphire glass, rotating bezel, and the thing is freaking cool. The downside is, there's a pedestrian, so I've been quiet for a second. The downside is, any watch that isn't a Timex Indiglo has just like, at night when you're trying to see what time it is, it sucks. Even the best ones, you know, the longer they're in the dark, they fade and fade and fade. And then it's 3 a.m. and your dog's barking at something, and you're like, what's that noise? And it's like, well, can't see what freaking time it is, dude. What's going on? You know? And also with the lights on watches now, and this one's got an interesting one, car back, where it's the screen that lights up. Well, I tested it out, and outdoors it's not good enough, right? But that's not really what it's for, I think. If you're trying to use this thing to navigate at night, you're in big trouble. Any of the watches that have like a little light on the outside. Okay, I'm at a 4-way stoplight, about to go into a freeway. So you're gonna get to hear that. Maybe some birds that live under the bridge. And here we go, we're about to go under. As always, the coolest thing about gravel bikes is you can take curbs and sidewalks off and on. I'm about to jump off a curb right now, like that, because there's no bike lane right there. But now there's a bike lane, I'm back into that. And, okay, I hear you guys. We're gonna cut through a parking lot here, so I don't have to go through an intersection. Did y'all know that's illegal with cars? You can get a ticket. They'll be like, you're avoiding the intersection. Fined, but, okay, I'm about to leave this bank parking lot. And about to go through the subdivision called Pebble Creek. It's a really nice little subdivision. Nice and calm and quiet. Down into the aero bars because we're going downhill. I can just coast. Oh, the Tour Divide started. And there's a guy in it that's World Cup mountain bike. I don't know if he's champion, but racer. And Leo Wilcox is in it. Right after Unbound. Going right into doing this bike ride from Canada to Mexico. Pretty impressive. I would be burned out. This would be too much. But also I have a full-time job. So I don't know. Kai's suffering from burnout right now from all the racing. The trick is just leave him alone until you want to bike again, right? The way to never want to bike again is to make somebody keep biking. Not that I could anyway. There's somebody selling tomatoes. I'm messing with some cords here. See if my headphones are connected. They are not. Let's go ahead and turn them on. Very nice. Going past some soccer fields where Kai grew up playing soccer. And looking at my watch, one thing that if I put my watch, the T-Rex, into workout mode to test it out for bike riding, one thing, if I really did that, I would mount it to the handlebars. They make these like foam things that are just donuts kind of, and then it's about the size of your wrist, and then you can strap your watch to that, and then you can use your watch as a bike computer out on the handlebars. And the coolest thing about one of the cool things about aero bars is I'm in the aero position, cruising down the street, cars going by, is with aero bars, you can get your bike computer further out in front of you, so it's more like a heads-up display. Okay, dog did not like that. And do we have a car back? Because I got to turn. Yeah, he's way back. Turning right on St. Andrews, off of something. I don't know, didn't see what it was. We're going past Gary's house here in a second. I haven't checked with Gary in a couple days, but I think he's okay. But he got a giant gash on his arm, I think, from the crash that we had last episode. So now just cruising in aero position. 77 RPM, 230 watts. But I'm still kind of warming up, so we're just gonna coast. So yeah, if I put it in bike mode, outdoor workout, well then I can't use the other features on the watch, like, I don't know, the compass and stuff. Mapping you can, but I don't know, looking at my heart rate graphs, I guess. What else would I use? ChatGPT, if I wanted to ask it some questions. I think I would have to leave the bike workout. And this is like first take on like what this watch is like. So some of my other first impressions are, I was like, dude, this watch is, I don't know, it's a little bit too big. And a little bit, I love watches that look cool. But then there's, like tacky, where it's like, they try too hard. And I would say it's like 5% try too hard, but just 5%. So then playing around with it, I noticed that the watch faces I use totally changed that. So there's a watch face called Deep Sea, which is like this navy and pale blue and just crap tons of data, but it's real elegant looking in a way. And it just changes the way the whole watch looks. And you can see that on Instagram, Zen Triathlon on Instagram. It's the watch face that just has about 5,000 data fields on it, but it's like navy and grayish blue. There's a guy walking his two dogs. We're almost to first gravel. Looks like it takes 15 minutes to get there. That's not bad. And we're gonna see how loud this thing is. So the last setting on the mic I used last episode was auto. So it would get like super sensitive and pick up everything. And then the crunching of the gravel I think was kind of annoying. And then so it'd be like super sensitive. And then if I talked, then it would be like, oh, that's loud. And then it would quiet everything down. So it was like this back and forth. Okay, we're about to hit gravel. Y'all tell me we're on pavement. So yeah, last audio that you heard where I went for a gravel ride on this episode, it'll either be before or after this audio. Gravel. We've had a lot of rain recently. Now this is rough gravel. So this is like some of the loudest gravel we're gonna hit. In a sharp turn, so I'm unclipping and putting my left foot down. Although I guess maybe the floodwater kind of washed away the rougher stuff. Got a mud puddle or two right here. Here's some rough stuff. So that's kind of rough right there. Yeah, I guess the rain kind of smoothed things out. Thank you, rain. So I'm riding through Lit Creek Park, which is a city park. I don't know if it's 2,000 acres or 500. I keep getting them confused which one it is. It's a big difference. But it's the city's wildland park on the edge of town. It's pretty cool. Yeah, this was really rough last time I was riding through here, but all this rain, man. Okay, a little bit of mud section here. Through it, no problem. So along with the 2.4 front, this is rough right here, which I'm probably running at about 22 PSI tubeless. There's some soft ground. This bike has an old suspension fork on it. Okay, buddy. Which is terrible. Very entry level consumer grade, but I just leave it on here. Kind of like the flat bars. That's what it had on when I pulled it out of the garage. Technical turn. Hey, there's a cyclist in front of me. Look at that. They're just sightseeing. He's got narrow tires and he's trying to ride this stuff. But he is picking his way through it. This is bad gravel, right this section, right here. We're about to pass him. On your right. Morning. How you doing? He's on a Raleigh road bike that was old enough to have the shifters on the ends of the drop bars down low. It's pretty cool. Well, I went by him at like 5 times the speed, not kidding. Not bragging, that's the difference between big tires and skinny tires. Looked like he was on like 23s or 25s maybe. That bike's probably 40 years old. This one's 30 years old. Really rough right here. There we go. Now it's going to be a lot smoother, hopefully. Yeah, so this watch will push your heart rate from it. Bluetooth only. I don't think it does amp. But Bluetooth only out to, any kind of device. So if I wanted to, I could use it to broadcast my heart rate to my bike computer. I'm not doing that now because I noticed when I turned that on, it's like what it did is it shrank the time of day down to tiny font. And I really like knowing the time of day. So we're not going to do that on this ride. We've got lots of rides. Morning. Middle-aged couple walking in the park. I'm now on a sandy crushed brick mixed with gravel climb out of the creek bottom. Nice and quiet. We're going to take it easy. My heart rate's 128. That's plenty. I'm one of these people that train for so long that my heart rate's real nice and low. 128 is the top of zone 2 for me. Coming up behind you. Thank you. This is where I saw a timber rattlesnake one time. Right here. Oh man. So we're more on like sandy gravel right here. I'm saying what we're riding on, so for reference of audio quality when I go back and edit it and when y'all listen to it. Because I would really like YouTube comments on how this sounds, if this is the right setting. Because yeah, the one that I recorded where I'm talking about contentment is set on that really low setting, and you could barely hear me riding on the gravel. Okay, now we're up on the sidewalk, and we're going to top off our water. Even though I'm only 21 minutes in, I like to top off my water because it's going to be a while till we get water again, and I don't want to dip into my Camelback. And plus, it's fun until I need to. And plus, it's fun to hear. We're at a water, and we're about to leave the park. There we go. Using my Hummingbird Fuels bottle. Fuel today is, I'd say 2/3 table sugar and Gatorade powder, the lemon lime one, and 1/3 maltodextrin because we're almost out of table sugar. I need to go buy some. I just go buy it in like the 3 or 5 pound bag, and then I flavor it with the Gatorade powder, and then add sodium citrate in bulk, and I make my own fuel. But I gotta admit, Hummingbird Fuels is freaking awesome. It tastes so good, and it's essentially the same thing. And I would use that for races because it's prepackaged and perfect. I'm not gonna mess that up. It's already made perfectly. Okay, we're in the arrow position, going downhill. It's starting to get overcast. All right. Okay, we're back on pavement, trudging up 315 watts at 50 RPM up this hill. Yeah, so I want to kind of use some of these features on this watch. And if I do a bike workout, you know, if I want to open up the compass or something like that. Let's try that right now. We're going to ride no hands and swipe from the right. Oh, I can do a voice memo. We'll do that in a little bit. Heart rate, compass. Okay, let's see. Oh, I didn't calibrate it. That's kind of nice. It's got a thing where you can take a bearing and then hold it, and then it'll tell you if you're on course or not. Very readable in the daylight. Yeah, so other reasons I wanted to upgrade the watch was like, well, I got the Seiko, and I'm like, okay, and I was like, this will last for a few months, and it did. And the more the reviews came out for the T-Rex, and you started finding out all the details, it was like, the things that were shortcomings, I was like, I don't care about that, mostly. Like sleep status, I'm trying to think, HRV, like a lot of these little metric steps, dude, I get in more, you know, like how accurate is it? It's like, whatever. And then the things that it did have, I was like, that's pretty freaking cool. And again, my main gripes were, I wanted a watch that was more visible, had brighter screen so I can read the stuff better. And I wanted the weather to be more accessible. Any watch I get, I want sunrise and sunset, and I want wind direction. And we're dropping down to the Navasota River bottom here. I bet you the water's gonna be up over the road again. And of course, all this watch has all that stuff. And what's new with these watches, now remember, I haven't had an Apple Watch. Emily and Kai both have one, but I haven't done it because I'm in the Garmin ecosystem, is you can just tap on the screen and it'll bring up that little thing. So my screen, I have a watch screen as my default screen as a, hold on, I gotta sneeze. I had to see what side the microphone was on, so I sneezed on the other side. So I tap on like the little weather temperature icon on the screen. I don't need to press a button or anything. I just tap on the screen and it opens up all the weather, right? I was like, oh, that's freaking cool. And then, that's the big one for me. Okay, we're about to hit gravel going downhill. See how this sounds? Cutting down the bars to be narrower. Huge, man. Oh, it's so nice. That way I can ride out on the open road and not be anywhere near is like a parachute. And then I wanted the flashlight feature where it just lights up the screen. So I tested it out and I shortcutted the button. So it's my top left button. If I do a long press on the top left button, it opens up the flashlight. And the watch also has voice commands, but it doesn't have a speaker. It beeps and stuff like that, but you know, like if you can't do a phone call through it and hear the person. Now it'll connect to headphones. All right, I think we're gonna be able to make it all the way down to the river. Oh, this is slush. Wow. Just a tiny bit of water right there. And the other killer feature is voice memos. And I've been like, yeah, that was the thing where I'm like, okay, with the Seiko diving watch, I was like, I got no voice memos, no flashlight, and those are things that would really, really help me out a lot. And I'll tell you why here in a second. There's a truck parked down and a guy fishing. I'm just gonna go down, try to leave him alone, but we're 42 minutes. I think we'll play with the watch a little bit. Let's walk down this. Oh, it is muddy. How y'all doing? Good. Boy, it's muddy getting down here, isn't it? Very. Y'all stopped right there. Y'all catching anything? Yeah, I bet you the fish are confused after all this. Oh yeah, look at it, it's moving. Yeah. I saw an alligator a few months ago. Well, there was a sandbank right there. It's probably under about a foot of water right now. And I've never seen one down here before. That was so cool. Yeah. Oh, how far down can you go? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like to come down here and take a break from my bike ride and just see how the river's doing because it changes constantly. It's so cool. Well, y'all have a nice day. I was trying to talk quietly, I don't want to disturb them. The last 100 feet to the river is mud, and I'm walking through it, picking my way through it. But this is a case of why you wear in gravel either flat pedals or mountain bike shoes if you're the exploring type. And I did not ride through it, I walked. Let's go over here and play with a couple settings on the watch, leave them alone. So yeah, I've done some voice recordings. It's got so what I did, it's got a voice recorder and it saves the audio to the watch, and then if you have headphones you can listen to it right off the watch, and then otherwise you've got to transfer it, which is not hard, it's pretty easy, to the app. So just like Garmin Connect, Garmin has an app on your phone that manages your Garmin devices. The company that owns Amazfit is called Zepp, Z-E-P-P, and they got a Zepp app, and that's a purple thistle, and their interface, how they manage all their stuff, is way better than Garmin Connect. The one downside is it's really easy to do routes and everything and get them from into Garmin Connect and then send them to all your Garmin devices and stuff. And I haven't done that yet, but I really don't do courses on my watch except for as a backup. I do courses to my bike computer, and like I said, I am not straying from Garmin as a bike computer anytime soon. And yeah, so you open up the Zepp app and then it lists out the recordings on your watch. And I don't know how many hours or minutes you get, but I've already recorded a lot testing it out, and the sound quality is pretty freaking good. Now it's on your wrist, it's better the closer you hold the watch to your face. But I was like, that ain't bad. And then, let's get going. Then I figured out on the app, I can airdrop. One of the ways to get the audio out of the app and into something that I could use in the podcast is I can just airdrop it right to my laptop and then drop it into we're going back up to the road again. It's kind of slushy, pea gravel, kind of thing, sort of. It's more like crushed up asphalt to pea gravel. And then chunky, here's chunky. And oh, something's skipping. I had a gear skip? That should not happen on a single speed. What's up, bro? Maybe I had a rock in the chain. I have to keep an eye on that. So I pulled it on Audacity and listened to one. I listened to a bunch, actually, just off the phone. I was like, that's not bad. So the big question is, while I'm swimming, between sets, I got like a minute rest. And I don't need the watch for swimming. I've got swim goggles. Like I said, when you're in workout mode, will the other things work? And I'm suspicious that they won't. Like the broadcast heart rate. Well, to go use other things on the watch, you have to get out of broadcast heart rate. And I don't think my Garmin's do that. I think it'll just do it in the background. And then you can use the watch for other things. No, maybe not. Anyway, that was a husband and wife fishing, just enjoying life. It was nice. And we're coming up on Pitbull, the gauntlet, so I need my water ready. That's another reason to fill up your water bottles is dogs. I gave that Pitbull a squirt before he got too close, so he knew that I had spraying ability. And that you could tell it opened his eyes a little bit. He was like, "Whoa." And then when he got close enough and I did spray him, he was like, "Yep, I don't like this." So it was like a shot across the bow and then a shot in the control tower, the face. And it's nice because then you're not hurting the dog. I've used the Halt dog spray before, and that stuff works really well too. That's if you got a real problem dog. I think I still got some in my bento box. Okay, climbing. Little side note, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about aero testing and then the bladders on the back and the front. What's fastest? That's probably him. I don't think he's going to make it. Yep, there he is. I'm too far ahead. Oh, here he comes. He's about 200 feet behind me. He stopped. And now we're on flat. Chip seal, nice and smooth. I can get in the aero position. That whole downhill and back up to the Navasota River. I rode on the flat bars because it was pretty technical with slush and holes and torn up gravel road. So what I want to do is stop. What I'm doing currently is I stop between sets and I'll record my thought, because I'll be swimming along and I'll be like, oh crap, I need to compress this database, and like, then I'm trying to hold on to the thought for the next 5 minutes. And then when I get to rest on the side for 1 minute, I gotta open up my phone, and it doesn't want to recognize my face, because I got goggles on. So I gotta type password, open up my phone, and then type in a note. And it kind of sucks. So it's totally worth doing, but I'm like, dude, I could just long press the bottom left button. Got a nice downhill. Long press the bottom left button and then record a voice thing and pull it in later, or listen to it later somehow as my to-do list for the day, and then my rest for my swim can actually be more restful and have a better swim. The downside is headphones with the little microphone holes and possibly this watch have, when they get wet, the holes get clogged up. So how long will this audio quality be pretty good? Okay, we are back on Peach Creek Road. Got a cyclist up ahead. Will I catch him before I turn off? I don't know. Aero position, just cruising along. They talk about there's 3 speeds in single speed actually. It's actually a 3-speed. There's pedaling normally. There's walking when you run out of gears uphill. And then the 3rd speed is pedal, coast, because you're out of top end. And I always got to say, this is not a single speed podcast. This is I'm just doing single speed right now because I broke my rear derailleur. And while I was in the shop, I pulled this bike out, built it up as a single speed, and then kind of fell in love with it because it's got bigger tire clearance. And I got my gravel bike back out, but I'd have to put these power meter pedals back on it and switch my saddle back and switch my aero bars back. And you can tell like how bad you really want something is if you actually have to put some work into it. And I don't want to put the work into that right now. I'm not done riding this thing, because then this bike will be incapacitated if I do that. If you had a lot of money, the thing is to go buy aero bars and pedals and what else? Saddle, and have it on both. But I also have a triathlon bike. I got a regular road bike that's in a state of disassembly for parts. Oh, but it reminds me, so I don't need to be building up more bikes to be fully operational. Oh, and I got a mountain bike that's fully operational with all the gears. There's something I noticed is because of all the weather, there's some cows up on the left. Even though it's summer, I got back into riding Zwift a couple rides. And, this bike's single speed, but Zwift is 24 gears because I'm using the Zwift 1 where it does virtual shifting. I wear the virtual shifter on my forefinger, which is really cool. So I could be like riding no hands, reaching for bottles and towels and still shift. So I've almost caught this roadie, but I'm going to take a right on Lone Star gravel. Y'all tell me how this sounds. Oh, UCI has come out with a new list of banned stuff, narrow bars, and that unfairly penalizes smaller people. It should probably be a percentage of your shoulder width, and then you have a known stat where you go in and get measured, and they're like, because your joints aren't gonna, you could add muscle, that just adds it to the outside. It's your joints. So they can measure your shoulder joints, joint to joint, and go, okay, you can be as narrow as 75, I'm making up a number, 75%. We're off-road here. This almost isn't a fair test of the medium setting on the mic because all this rain kind of smooths stuff out. There's a chunky section coming up. I should eat some of my fuel. Oh, I'm right on track, 1 hour. And I'm about an hour into this bottle. Good job, Brett. I'm going through a narrow, 1-lane, sandy gravel road, thick trees on either side. It's 82 degrees. Coming off my Garmin 840. Yeah, so I hope the microphone works on this watch for a long time because, wow, talk about handy. I recorded some while driving, and it's really interesting when it's just right there on the wrist with a quick press of a button, how handy it is to have a voice recorder. Instead of pulling out your phone or carrying a voice recorder, just for the short, quick thoughts. I guess you could get into like a situation where you get an altercation with somebody, like at the grocery store. Some start shoving somebody getting in front of the line. You turn that thing on without them even seeing it, and then get it on audio that they started it. Ooh, a deer. No, don't go away. We're on rougher gravel here. Not as crunchy. It's early in the morning, so it really hadn't had time to dry out. And then the UCI might have banned, there's some new bikes coming out with really wide fork legs. And there's two reasons for that. If they're super wide, then they're in line with your knees, kind of. And then it doesn't have to cut through two different things. Once it cuts through the front, there's a little bit dirty, and then when it hits your knees, it's already a little bit, your knees are kind of in the trail of that. Probably saves a few watts. And then another one that's really interesting, and I think one reason that gravel bikes are actually faster than people think is wide tire clearance gets the fork and the seat stays out away from the tire. And what happens is when the tire's spinning in a narrow area, it's trying to shove air that it's dragging with it into that narrow area. And that causes resistance, like shoving a t-shirt into a small Ziploc bag. It doesn't want to go as easily as if it was a bigger bag. And wider seat stays, do all that. And then they're like, we want everything like super narrow. And it's like, well, not necessarily. Maybe having the wheels be more free-flowing saves more watts than the seat stays and the fork being real tight up against the wheels. It definitely helps with, mud and whatever clearance. Just did a U-turn. This was a mile-long road, so we get 2 miles of gravel on Lone Star. And I've been living a little bit of I want to talk about Panic. Oh my gosh. I've been living a little bit of Even Steven. I can ride air bars on this gravel. It's nice and smooth and flat. I've been living a little bit of Even Steven where I think we all do all the time. It's just noticing it. So there's this old Seinfeld episode where they realized that Jerry would lose $100, but then the very next day he'd find $100 in his jacket pocket that he'd lost a long time ago and didn't know where it was. It's like, say, $100 parking fine. So he's out $100, and then later he'd find $100. And then by the end of the episode, like something bad would happen. He goes, I'm not worried about it. He's like, what? It'll work out. Classic Kramer. He's like, you know what? You're Even Steven. Oh, we got a doggy. Hopefully he's sweet, or she. And I'm going to be quiet. Yeah, he didn't even hear me. A trick for not getting, still get chased, but not as badly, and not getting bitten by dogs, is when you're coming up on a known dog area. Do not coast. Just keep putting light pressure on your pedals, and that keeps that freewheel from making that noise. And believe me, dogs can hear that. They love it. They're ready. And then stop talking. So you come into it like stealth. And then by the time they hear you, you're already like past them. It works really, really nice. It's kind of fun to do. This is nice. I was surprised that the Great Divide, GDMBR, the Canada to New Mexico, or Mexico, race had already started. I thought it started later. And they're on day 1. Day 2 now, I guess. And they have a live tracker. And I would love to do that race, except I grew up with too much bear exposure where it's so funny. Like, I surf. I'm not really afraid of sharks, even though I should be. But a grizzly bear, not a black bear. I grew up where we were backpacking and black bear, some of us got attacked by black bears and 100 or 300 stitches from a black bear coming in your tent in the middle of the night. Okay, that's a black bear. Grizzly bear is a whole other animal. Car back. We're back on the pavement, Peach Creek Road. I might put my recorder in a Ziploc now that it's getting hotter. We'll do that when we get to the top of the hill. I was trail running in Alaska 2 or 3 times, and 2 of the times I got the creeps. I was like, I was in the middle of nowhere, and I was like, especially if the trail's twisty, you could come up on a bear. There's 2 cyclists, a husband and wife. They're on mountain bikes, but I think they're just out for a casual ride. And you learn backpacking, you know, to like have bells and noises and stuff. Well, I mean, that really works on black bears. A grizzly bear, you might be saying it might be a dinner bell if they're hungry. And then, God, the softer gravel tires are so comfortable. This is the life, man. Grizzly bear really might rip your head off, and they do on occasion. And on rare occasion will eat you alive, and that sounds terrible. So the very northern half of the continental divide, the Great Divide, I'm kind of like, man, I don't know. Because you're going to have to camp. And then everything we learned about backpacking and camping is you can't have anything that smells on you if you're camping out in the woods where there's bears. The things are like 3 to 800 pound, you know, raccoons, and they can smell anything, deodorant, toothpaste, and you're sitting there probably with Gatorade, that sweet Gatorade, and M&Ms, and toothpaste, just smeared all over your kit and your bike. It's like, dude, it is like pretty freaking wild, man. I'm just like, well, I don't know about that. So I guess like Montana. So whatever's south of grizzly bear country, I would be better off. I'd be like, okay, I could probably do this. Here come some horses. Hey, horsies. Some notes on single speed. Once I got used to it again, because I used to ride a long time ago, for about a year, maybe longer, I rode single speed as my training bike. Like it is enjoyable, man, because there's built-in coasting. You know, the hills are harder, but then it's kind of fun to see if you can make it up the hill. It's kind of like a little game, and it makes you a better, more powerful cyclist. Anyway, I have this theory, like train single speed, race geared, and my God, you'd be unstoppable. But the little coasting that's built in because you can't pedal any further, if you're doing a really long ride, I think it's like, you know, like day after day after day, week after week of training, not getting dehydrated and worn out because you've got these little rest breaks built into your long rides. I don't know, it might be better training. And it teaches you how to handle your bike better with momentum to get up and over things and through turns and conserve energy. It just builds a ton of climbing power, which is actually the thing that'll make you a faster cyclist more than anything else. This hill's not slowing you down like everybody else. Oh, but back to Zwift. I got back on it because my friend Morgan got a Zwift bike. He says he really likes it. I told him I'd heard that the front isn't stable enough, and he's tried it, and he said, no, that's not true. It's fine. He's ordered a better seat to put on. I'm standing and climb. Oh, we're going to put this recorder. It's a good time. We're going to put the recorder in a Ziploc in case it starts raining. The recorder is not waterproof. It's also a good time to use this flat top mailbox. I left my sunglasses in this mailbox one time in an open area. Came back, like my favorite sunglasses, gas station sunglasses, and then came back. Is this wet on the inside? I think it's wet on the outside. I think it's wet on... I do not want to put my recorder in a wet bag. Yeah, see this thing start. Okay, we're gonna record again. Here comes a runner. How's it going, man? Oh, he's dying, dude. That is hot. I don't know if I like how... This is what we're gonna do. Put this back in here. We're gonna ride for a minute with this bag inside out on the front of my aero bars to dry it out. Hopefully it'll stay. And then we're gonna put the... How about that? How's this thing gonna stay on without blowing off? I got an idea. I'll wedge it in this bottle holder. Just the tiniest bit. Okay, that should help. the air going over it should dry it out just in case. Are we recording? Yep, we're recording. Okay. And mud in my... Even on my tri-bike, going a bazillion miles per hour, I rode mountain bike. I rode egg beaters on it. It's staying on the road because on training rides, you want to get off the bike and go pee, hit some bushes and stuff. I found it's like way nicer getting off the bike and get back on again and not having road cleats on. It was specifically for getting off the bike to go to the bathroom in the bushes and then walking through crap. Or your bike has a mechanical and you're working on it in the side of the road and you can't clip back in because your cleats are jammed with mud. Or up. We're just cruising along, got 186 watts normalized power, but it's been mostly downhill to this point. So we're about to climb up a nice little hill, so the power will go back up probably to 190 something. It's just nice for an easy Zone 2 ride. And yeah, back to the GDMBR. I'm like, yeah, bears, nah. But it's so funny. I'll surf where there's just sharks. Like, I'm like, well, whatever. It's funny. Like, people's fears are, created for reasons when they were kids from some movie that they saw or whatever, and some statistic that they hear. You're more likely to die in the car wreck on the way to the beach, like way more likely than to be bitten by a shark. So if you're willing to drive to the beach just to get to the beach, well, yeah, the shark's not really an issue. And plus, like, you're not sleeping out on your surfboard in the middle of the night and a shark comes up and eats you. Bears, your defenses are down and you're like sleeping. If you've ever had a creature, I've had an elk or a deer come up outside of my tent and walk slowly around the tent. It was grazing, and I'm not making this up. We looked out the tent eventually and saw what it was. And breathing hard, it kind of rubbed up against the tent just a little bit. It's like, and it would pause and then walk and then pause. And Emily and I are in the tent together. We're like, holy crap. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? And we were in bear country and mountain lion country. Climb starting. We're going to go under a bridge first. It's overcast, so that's going to take the edge off the heat. This could be a really nice ride. There's somebody's umbrella that probably blew a mile down the road in the latest windstorm. Maybe I'll top off on some fuel before we start climbing. That'll help. And we're going to go into a gas station and reload on some water. Okay, about to go under Highway 6. And we got the sparrows and stuff living under the bridge. The last couple bridges headed south before you get to Navasota have crevices in the way they design the bridges. And it turns out bats love it. So there's bat colonies living in them, which is really cool to hear when you go under them. They sound like high tension power lines. Zing, 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 zing. Okay, I'm taking it easy up this climb because this is an easy ride. Yeah, I want to have audio on this podcast of between swim sets, That'd be so cool. I'll tell you what I'm doing. That roadkill I just passed reminded me to tell you that I'm on a 2-lane, 60-mile-an-hour highway with no shoulder. And here comes a car coming up behind. They changed their mind? No, here they come. It's a little bit of gravelly shoulder here. I'm going to get over on it as they go by. The cool thing about gravel bikes. So I was doing about 45 RPM, 260 watts. One cool thing about Zen, one of the many cool things, is you learn to study yourself and your reaction to things without judgment. And then you can learn like what you really like and what matters to you. And I've been struggling to put out shows. I'll record 4 hours worth of stuff and then I'm like, I just don't like it. Here comes a cyclist. And it's a mix of the audio quality, I guess. And God knows what else. Morning. Guy on a trek. And then that last bit that I recorded where I'm talking about contentment. That audio quality was so good compared to before that I was like, oh man. It was so fascinating how it changed. Like I just saw like opportunities and doors opening and like it's a brand new world. And because you want to put out quality stuff, And up until then, I'm kind of like, well, it's kind of okay. Yeah. But even if this audio quality isn't as good as that, I can use that setting and be like, dude, we are on to something. And then the thing is I do so much different stuff. I haven't done a triathlon in a little while, but I swim and run at not a half Ironman level. I swim at an Ironman level, training volume, and then bike just over half Ironman amount, and then I run just under because I was getting over running injuries. But a long time ago, when this show got really popular, I was recording on the bike and the sound quality was good enough, whatever devices I was using, and I would just talk about like we're talking today. A little bit of Zen, a little bit of bike riding, a little bit of nonsense, industry news, training tips. So, oddly enough, I forgot to mention it. I was talking about even Steven because I've learned, this is at work too. You're up against an obstacle. Don't try to fix it hard and fast. Give it some space and let it breathe. And opportunities and solutions appear when you kind of step away, give it a space to breathe and cook a little bit. And while you're doing something else, you'll come up with ideas. Like, oh, yeah, or this is a better strategy. Like in the heat of the moment, you're kind of like, make things worse. There's a saying, don't answer when angry, don't make life decisions when sad, and don't set big goals when you're too happy. Which I'd never heard that before. That's actually pretty good advice. Get in over your head. Okay, we're about to go downhill. Nice little downhill. I say these things so that later I can listen and be like, okay, the wind muff I'm using a double microphone cover to block the wind. Was it enough where you can hear a little bit of wind noise, so then you get like, oh, this is what you can tell, A little bit of wind noise is cool because it, it's like you're there. Oh, I'm pouring it. I might pull over here and check out this Ziploc. I'm in a turn. I shouldn't do that. It's not smart. Get clipped. Take the first sip from the Camelback. Everybody's sodium needs are a little bit different, but there's some averages. And this is a 2-liter Camelback, and I put a 1/4 teaspoon of sodium citrate per liter in all my water. I feel like sometimes I put in more than that, and it makes me a little sick to my stomach. It's hard to tell. Okay, we're gonna pull up because I'm on a single speed. You learn this with motorcycles. You don't park facing uphill because reversing a motorcycle. No, you don't park facing downhill because then in a parking spot, because then you got to back up. And there's only like one motorcycle that has a reverse that I can remember because it's so big and heavy, and that's a Honda Goldwing. Yeah, so I stopped and turned around. Now I'm facing back downhill. So when I get going again, I got a little roll in for like 20 because I'm in a single speed. Okay. Let me cram this thing a little bit better. Microphones pick up little crinkly sounds, I want to record me biking the time trial on mountain bikes, but my bottom bracket is creaky. Something on my bike is creaky on my mountain bike, and it'll sound so terrible on the recording, but the recording will be awesome. Half an hour all out time trial racing with the club, the local club. And then I've been kind of putting it off because Kai started working at the bike shop, and once he's really working there and they give him an actual workload, because now it's all training on all their benefits and customer service, and he's getting into it. He's starting to name off all the little benefits that they get that REI customers get, like they're training them on how to talk to customers. That then I want to bring my mountain bike in and have him literally work on it if possible. Because it's actually his old full suspension Canyon. It was a little bit too big and heavy for him for cross-country racing. So we got him a Trek Super Caliber carbon true cross-country racing bike, and his times just skyrocketed in improvement. His race times and placing on the podium. And then I've been riding this more like a trail bike. And I'm bigger and heavier than he is. And it's definitely slower than my old cross-country racing bike that was a hardtail Orbea. I think it was freaking fast. But it's way more comfortable. And I do, marathon mountain biking and long-distance mountain biking. And as you get older, you know, you're just like, the abuse of a hardtail, cross-country hardtail, is like, this sucks. And there's nothing like having something before and then not having it anymore. I've had a full suspension Cannondale, a Super V, a long time ago. And it is such a superior ride, a full suspension is. So if you're going long distance, marathon mountain biking is like 60-something miles, I guess. It is a long, long way. And so full suspension is nice, and if I'm not interested in winning, then I just go with the comfort. Got a group of... How's it going? I think they're all roadies. We'll see here in a second. I'm going to walk. Take off the sunglasses and the helmet. And let's go into the gas station and get some water. How you guys doing?
Good.
Okay. Yeah, I know, right? At least the sun's not out. It's nice over here. Oh, yeah. Half the time I come through here, the place is full of old farmers and ranchers talking. I wonder where they are. Oh, there's an old map of Milliken. Oh, that's cool. Being so close to Mexico, where I live, there's a sign on the women's bathroom. It says women, but they've had to put a handwritten paper sign that says no hombre, mujer. There's no men, and then whatever only is in Spanish. We'll go back and look. I took 3 years of Spanish, or 3 semesters, and I used to live on the border of Mexico, the Texas-Mexico border, so I do know some Spanish. I know how to curse in Spanish. I know when people are cursing at me in Spanish. I won't do it on this podcast. There's a little bit Asian philosophy of you can get really worked up about things, and it doesn't really help. Be calm and cool. Leaving the gas station. My dad taught me when I was younger that the Chinese, this could be, you know, what he heard, but he did go to Vietnam and then backpacked all across, not the world, but across Europe. And he's very worldly and traveled a lot. But the Chinese saying is be like grass bending in the wind. You know, you don't want to know who the emperor, it doesn't matter who the emperor is, thousands of miles away. It doesn't really affect you as a rice farmer most of the time. And empires come and go. Be like bamboo or grass. Don't get too involved. And there's definitely things to get involved with, for sure. But if you get up to your eyeballs in it, then you can't think straight. You can make things worse. Cutting across the highway and on the gravel parking lot. All right, we're going to do a brief few hundred feet here on pavement, and then we're going to turn on gravel again. Milliken's on a gravel grid, 10,000 people, old Civil War town that's now just a few hundred people, if that, no, probably 100 people, probably 50 people. We're now turning left on the Milliken Cutoff Road off of Highway 159. Oh, you know what I was going to do? I was going to start a bike workout and then save it. So I've already connected the watch to Training Peaks. It's supposed to work fine. Now, I don't have a power meter connected to the watch yet. I'm not going to bother with that today. I don't want to mess up my power meter file. But I did want to record a little bit while I'm on the bike with the watch to see how successfully it switches over to Training Peaks. What it does, and I'm a little bit disappointed because yesterday I recorded very short workouts where I did almost nothing. Like, I'm talking like 30 seconds and just standing still. And they did not go over to Training Peaks. I did a bike and a run, but I was just standing, you know, in a hallway. And I'm like, even though there wasn't anything there, it should have gone over to Training Peaks, and it didn't. And I'm like, but those bugs are supposed to be all worked out. It's supposed to work. There's a doggy. Be nice. Be nice. There you go. A little bit of water. People listening to the show love the sounds of being chased by dogs. We got a video that when I was recording a video on the bike, Kai getting chased by a big pack of dogs. It was so funny. That clip got more views. Oh, something funny. So, yeah, I heard this thing, you know, you see this all the time. Cottonmouths are they're not dangerous. They don't chase you, you know. And the last cottonmouth I saw didn't. It was he coiled up, but he was just kind of, and opened his mouth, white, which was funny because I was like, I wonder if it's a cottonmouth. And then later I was like, stupid. His mouth is freaking white like a ball of cotton. Duh. And anyway, I was like, I got on video of a much bigger cottonmouth in the road, on a gravel road. And I wanted to get him out of the road, and I was right. A car came after I shot the video immediately. And I was like, yeah, he probably would have hit him. So no, I'm not harassing the freaking snakes. I'm actually trying to get them out of the road so they don't get hit. Aero bars on gravel into a headwind. A little bit of mud. I gotta admit, this is not the best gravel. Wet gravel the day after storms is not the best gravel to analyze if it's too crunchy or not for the audio. I'll just do my best. I'll try to ride through stuff like a little bit worse. Anyway, so I recorded like this video of me trying to get the snake out of the road. And yeah, a little bit of me trying to get him to open his mouth to verify it was a cottonmouth. And the first part of the video, it's pretty short, but I'm like, people think cottonmouth, I'm a Mr. Know-It-All. I'm like, people think cottonmouths are aggressive, but they're not. Because my one experience was it was not at all. So I grabbed this, there weren't any sticks, but really tall piece of grass that had some structure, a little bit of strength to it. It was like 3 feet long, 4 feet long. Let's ride through some of the crunchier gravel here so we can hear it. I'm holding my phone in one hand and the grass thing in the other, and I'm trying to prod it along and get it out of the road. And it doubled back on me and like jumped, like it struck. And I tell my friends, that thing was freaking airborne, flying in the air at my face. It wasn't, but that's what it felt like. And I dropped my phone. It scared me so bad. And then I pick my phone back up. It's still recording. And then I get it out of the road. We're going down here into a little creek bottom, but with a dead end. We're going to turn around at the gate that yells at us. And practicing our bike handling skill, doing a U-turn on sloppy gravel. And I showed it to somebody and they said, dude, you need to cut the video right as it jumps at you and you drop your phone yelling, ah, and then post that. Like it just ends. And so I did as a YouTube short, or I don't know whatever they're called, a reel, I don't know. And it got 1,000 views in an hour because it's one of those, it's like a great video. You don't know what happens. I scream. And the irony, oh, they don't attack. And it was so funny. I'm glad I've been doing this stuff forever. Because I've gotten, like 10% ugly comments. And I learned the only reason I've made it this far, posting content and stuff like that, is I learned early on, I don't know where I learned it from, but a really entertaining way to make fun of trolls is to make fun of them. This isn't the best example, but the one at the top of my head is somebody's called me a dill hole, and I go, no. They just go, dill hole. And I said, no, actually it's a snake. But like you do this like deadpan, like cutting remarks right back at them, and they just don't know what to do with it because it didn't work on you. So I think if somebody said something about, I need to quit harassing snakes. The snakes. Well, no, if you harass a snake, that's what it was. If you harass a snake, it's going to attack you. And then I just wrote back, not all snakes, because it's true. And then it's just like, my favorite that I learned was when somebody early on would make fun of the audio quality or whatever I talked about on the show. Usually audio quality. Oh, we got dogs. They're little. Let's go fast. I can out. You got little legs. Oh, okay. Big dog spray with water. Little dogs with little legs. I have been bitten on the ankles though. A little ankle biter. Drew blood. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. They're like, your sound quality sucked, and then this one thing you were wrong. And it's really mean. I'll go, tell you what. Link to me your podcast, the one that you made, that's better than the one I made. And let's compare it. Because it's like somebody ragging on Pogacar or Usain Bolt, for having bad form or something, or not performing well or something. It's like, oh really? You are the expert now? Now here's a real dog. All right, are you ready for me to turn? I don't think you are. Oh. Okay, that one has a 90-degree turn. And now we're on busted up asphalt. It's not gravel, but it's like the worst asphalt you can imagine. And then so what's funny is people will laugh at your reply because it's funny. And then it becomes fun to tease the trolls right back. Somebody made a funny comment that I'd never heard before. I thought it was really... He said cotton mouths are named because the inside of their mouths are all soft and fluffy. Maybe he said, and they're not dangerous or something. He was being silly. And I wrote back, oh, I should try that. I should have let him bite me, and tested this out. I'll do that next time. You get your snake haters that I didn't do enough to kill that snake. Comments like, should have shot it with a shotgun. And I wrote back, and maybe that's what made me think about carrying a gun on the bike. So I wrote back, it's a little bit difficult to carry on a bicycle, but I'll definitely consider it next time. It's freaking ridiculous. I think we're on Clay Road. I swear I just heard a rattlesnake. Maybe it was something else. One of my adult friends bought a piece of land out here and built a house kind of near here. And it turned out his great-grandfather or great-uncle died in a well-known train accident, like on the corner of his property, or like one lot over, like 150 years ago. That's pretty wild. Okay, we're still on gravel road. We're going to go past the motorcycle gang house. The sun's back out. Yeah, so I want to take that canyon. It's a Canyon Neuron full suspension that's all creaky. And then leave it at REI and say, I'll pay full price, obviously, but I want Kai to work on it if possible. Muddy potholes, no problem. So that I find really interesting about people trying to decide what tires to run on their bike. And they're like, well, if you run these tires, then you're going to be this slow, right? And if you run these tires, then you're going to be this problem. Maybe this tire is going to be this problem, right? When there's something that a lot of people aren't thinking about. You're assuming I'm cutting through a industrial plant parking lot here. It's gravel and sand. It loads the train that stops here now with fertilizer or something. Fuel. Hold on. Please hold. Oh wait, I never turned on a bike ride. I'm having too much fun on my watch. Let's try it. Let's get in the, pause the Garmin. Let me find some shade. There's a little bit of shade. There's even more shade. And even more shade right here. Okay, we're gonna do this. This thing has like 115 modes. Is this the one that has skydiving on it? We're gonna do outdoor cycling. It's towards the top. It's locating me with GPS. We're gonna let it do that. It's ready to go. That's kind of nice. Settings. Let's look at navigation while we're in it. My location. No information about locations. Okay, well maybe I haven't. That's something I got to add. Save current location. Navigation settings. Let's look at that. Oh, it's got the option, where it'll turn the map as you turn. And you actually don't want to do that unless you have to, because it'll eats through battery way faster. Oh, we didn't really talk about, let's just hit go. What's really cool is you set your zones in your watch, and then it colors your heart rate based on what zone you're in. So it's yellow right now because it thinks I'm just zone 2 aerobic, right? So now, let's look at screen locked. Press the button to unlock. What button? Oh, okay. There's a map. Okay. Can I pan out? How do I pan out? I haven't figured that out yet. Let me take off my sunglasses so I can see. Might want a white background. I'll work on that later. Press the button to unlock. Screen unlocked. I don't know how to zoom in and out yet. I can pan. How do I zoom back? Okay, well, it's got a map. We'll work on using the map later. That's the big thing. Okay. So now we're going to see when I download this ride off my Garmin at I'm an hour 39 minutes in. let's see what this thing does when I didn't want to start recording at the exact same time and then get two different bike rides, and it has to fight, because sometimes Zwift, Strava, like if two rides are too similar, it'll pick one and throw the other one away. I don't know if it still does that, but it does that. All right, now we're on a 70-mile-an-hour road with no shoulder, yay, but only for a mile. And it opens up the most glorious gravel. I'm into a little bit of a headwind, so I'm in the arrow position, just gliding along. That's pretty cool. Oh, I thought, are there any cars behind me? I don't even mess with my watch. Oh, there's no cars. Okay. I want all the fields. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think I would set it to a white background, maybe. The dark background and the light numbers is a little hard to read. We could do that on another ride. Let's get back in the arrow position. We're on, I can't remember if this is 2154 or 1179. It runs northwest, southeast through Milliken. I got a loose gravel sign coming up there. That's nice. And we're going to turn right off of this road here in a second. Far back. This rear radar just changed everything. It's amazing. Feel so much more confident and calm, less panicked. Oh yeah, we need to talk about that at some point. We'll get around to it. Let's talk about it now, because I don't think I talked about it much. Did I? Contentment is what I talked about. Let's talk about panic. So my theory on what happened at Unbound in the 200, especially with the women, with all the crashes, and we got women with concussions. Emily Newsom had a concussion. Hannah Shell crashed out. And these are friends of the show, so I actually care about them. Okay, we're on gravel, a little bit of pea gravel there. There's going to be gravel for a while now. We're on Old Highway 6, now taking a right on Ward Road. A mile-long dead end. Arrow bars, because it's straight. I can kind of see where I'm going. You go back and listen to old episodes. Them and Drew Dillman and Chase Warwick. Oh, a vulture in the road. Oh, real quick, because I keep forgetting. I cut down the mountain bike bars and made them more narrow. And there was a thing with, I did not like how they were sticking out. I was going to cut them down eventually anyway, but man, it makes you nervous in traffic to have bars that stick out more than they need to. A car could clip you. You could be in a ride with friends. You know, we're all used to racing mountain bike and being combative, but everybody's got flat bars, so they tend not to grab onto each other. But flat bars combined in the middle of drop bars, it's fine unless your flat bars are excessively wide. Then you're just asking to get hooked up into somebody. And so the even Steven thing is Gary and I crashed, which was a downside. But then while we were at his house truing my wheel, because my wheel got bent, two things came out that were fantastic. I've been waiting, like I said, you just wait for an opportunity to arise. And I go, hey, is that a hacksaw? He's like, yeah. Because I've been looking for mine, I can't find it. Okay, we're climbing a little hill here. And then the other one was, he said he bought the truing stand because he had metal wheels, American Classics, that were always needing truing, and it was a pain in the ass. So he just bought a Park truing stand. 34 RPM, 250 watt, climbing this hill. Woo! Oh, and we're gonna check the audio to see if it's actually recording still. And he's like, the truing stand's old, but it's a Park. It's really nice. Park makes like the best bike tools, probably. I don't have my watch set to autopause here, but let's just see. And he said, do you want this? And I'm like, well, sure, dude, but that's yours, And let's see, can I get the settings on the watch? I don't know. Heart rate. Oh, if you swing from the left, pause, navigation, finish. No, we don't want to do that. Let's swing from the right. Oh, it turns on music. Okay, so I don't know where autopause is on this thing. We'll find it on another ride. And let's see if this recorder's still working. Let me get more in the shade so I can see it. Only downside of this recorder, they sell a version in Europe or Japan that has a white screen with black letters, but this is black with white, and I can't tell if it's paused. Yeah, it's recording, or if it's recording or not. I have to like completely stop, take off my sunglasses, and look. It's not cool. Anyway, I have so much fun gravel biking because honestly, probably looking back, my first love is BMX and mountain biking, and then got into road biking. You know, you get into the speed, especially with triathlon bikes, the TT, just the outrageous, high performance speed is its own cool thing. But man, I love being out in the woods and stuff. Which gravel bikes are like BMX bikes. Here's a mower, farmer mower. I'm gonna give them away. I try to wave at everybody, even if they're mean. So much can be solved just by being nice. Okay, they're doing high-speed gravel downhill. Nice. And oh, Kai holds the comm on this road. We should have a thing every time I mention Kai. Drink. I don't know what you should drink. The killer feature that I was not expecting to be that freaking good. But after I kind of started nailing down everything else on the watch and make sure, you know, this thing's actually going to work, is, I just got hit by a bee. I don't think it's stung. Chat GPT is built into the watch. So I do a long press of the top right button and it's like, well, yeah, what's up? And I posted on Instagram some of the pictures. The very first thing I thought of is like, are apples good for you? I don't know, you know? It's pretty funny when you're put on the spot for the first time. They ask good questions. And I said, yes, they're very good for you. They're high in fiber and this, that, and the other. Because I'm wanting to test it to see, because it'll do other things too, like, hey, you know, start a workout, you know, things that are watch related, that are built, commands that are built into the watch. But I'm like, does this thing go out and actually find out stuff? And then I go, okay, what are the ingredients in Coca-Cola? And I just started listing off the ingredients. And I was like, holy cow, this is cool. And there, like I was saying earlier, there's some kind of threshold where you have to like pull out your phone or get on a computer and that stuff. Where for like, or same thing with recording, like you want to record something, you got to pull out your phone, hit the record button. Something that's already on your wrist and you don't even have to look because you know where the buttons are, you know, you can feel. So I can turn on the voice recorder with a long press of the lower left button, flashlight with the long press of the upper left button, and on the top right, I can ask it, you know, what's the population, how many grizzly bears are in Wyoming, right? And it takes, you know, 2-3 seconds, it thinks. But then it'll continue the conversation if you want. I really haven't gotten into it. I was at work, I had other things to do. I was just trying it. I was like, whoa, that is freaking cool. And so I was showing Emily, and I was like, isn't this cool? And she's a nurse. Can you imagine all the things that they could ask? You know, although you really can't trust AI yet. To ask like, is this drug okay to take with this other drug? Probably bad advice in there, right? But I'm doing a nice long downhill gravel. Oh, it's so nice. Emily goes, ask it something along like, what does Brett think of Emily? I go, okay. And I already know, like, it's going to be like, I don't know what Brett you're talking about, you know, and all this other stuff. Oh my God, yeah, I got something else to tell you about AI here in a second, by the way. We still haven't left the topic about panic. And I go, what does Brett think about Emily? How much does Brett love Emily, I think was. And it was like, I'm not sure which Brett you were talking about, so your best bet is to ask Brett. That was funny. And then she turns and looks at me and goes, well, how much? This dirt road, Old Highway 6, runs parallel to Welborn Road, 1174, 2154, whatever the hell it is, 1179. And so on occasion, and a railroad line in between us. So on occasion you can hear a car. We're still on gravel. More fuel. So Panic got interesting with the field is too big with too many pros, and you hear all this talk constantly. The week before the race, I started noticing this pattern. This is the most important race of the year. It's the most important trade show. This is like Kona for gravel. This is like the real world championships for gravel. This is the most, they kept saying basically, either this is the most important race of the year or some sort of variation of that phrase. All right, we're gonna be on asphalt here for a second, well, for a few minutes. Right, so there's all this pressure on, it's like in Zen you learn to stand back and be like, is this pressure like real or is it like self-created, you know? I mean, it's just a bike race. Who decided? The gods got together and said, this race is the most important race, you know? No, it's just a situation of circumstances that's made it for now. Also, everything's temporary, all right? So for now, yeah, sure, it's the most important bike race, but it's in your freaking head. It's not your head, everybody's head. So you got these problems that make this perfect storm. Usually it's not one thing that makes something go, like have an accident or go wrong or a high success, you know, a big success. It's like a combination of things. It takes like 2, 3, 4 things, and then all of a sudden, boom, something's significant, majorly significant. And you got the most important race of the year. You got the fact that they've allowed, probably, I'm guessing, way too many pros in. And then you have this weird situation where there's not a lot of vetting on the pros in gravel yet. So like road cycling has like this program where you got to work your way up, right? Mountain biking, it's still self-selected. The mountain bike races I do, and you can tell after a race or two, you're like, I am not Cat 1. I am Cat 3. And then I was nearly winning Cat 3 races, and I'm like, okay, it's time to move up to Cat 2. And then Cat 2 is nice. But yeah, there's category, and then they start at different times. In gravel, you have a pro wave, and then you have everybody else. I'm right into a headwind on almost level ground. Got a car up, so I'm in the aero bars, just cruising along. I'm doing the pedal coast, and or 187 watts. Average watts for single speed are misleading because the watt numbers I feel are lower by, let's say, 15 to 20, 30 watts because there's a lot of coasting. But single speed is harder because a lot of times you're putting down watts in a very suboptimal gear, and it's really training you hard. With big gear, low RPM, climbing hills. Anyway, the other thing is you have this situation where gravel is turning into road racing, and especially for the pro field and Lifetime Fitness, I think they made a really big mistake. I'm gonna wait till we go uphill so y'all can hear me more clearly because there's some wind noise. Banning aero bars because a couple people don't like aero bars, and my theory is they just don't even know how to ride in them, and so they were scared. People do not crash more often in aero bars. It is not, there's no statistics that show that's true. Keegan Swinson crashed in this race, no aero bars, right? And he's the best bike handler probably. And when you take aero bars away, people ride puppy paws, which is more dangerous. And it's kind of like if you make drugs illegal, lower level drugs like marijuana, people will find a way, and something else like a medical thing that we're not going to talk about, people will find a way to do it anyway, and then it's more dangerous. now on gravel, kind of high speed. By taking away aero bars for the pros, you're now encouraging them to ride puppy paws. Where now instead of holding on to something with their hands, they're holding on to nothing. Or like a computer mount at most. And then which one's worse? You know, and they're going to do it anyway. So just let them have the aero bars. What is that? My watch just did something. Okay. So that's just a safety thing. But the thing I want to talk about is panic. So because we've turned this into the most important race ever on Earth, ever, and because we've let in so many high-end pros and the race has gotten faster and faster and faster, it has turned into a road race. And in a road race without aero bars, you want to ride right on the ass of the person in front of you. Because if you don't, then you get dropped from that draft. And if you get dropped from the draft, it is pretty much over for you. So you end up with this giant pack or packs of people all riding on each other's ass on road filled with hazards. Potholes, mud holes, ruts, rocks, bottles. I need a sip of water here, a sip of fuel. And flat tires that need to be plugged. People trying to squirt chain lube on each other's chain. And so there's this panic that you can't fall off. So you keep this like real tight formation, and that causes accidents because it's not on road. We're on a gravel or single double track full of hazards. And so bam, people crossing wheels, slamming into each other. And just the last thing about aero bars, that they banned aero bars, and the coolest thing about aero bars is if you get dropped because you've had to plug a tire, with aero bars you can catch right back up. And you're like, well, I don't want people riding. So then there's that, you've lost that panic, right? It's like, it's okay. I'll catch back up. I'll just ride really efficiently. And then you get this logical fallacy. Well, people ride aero bars in the group. Dude, two things. One, people hardly ever ride aero bars in a group. Because it's stupid and you'll crash, and everybody knows that. And so that's not a thing that actually happens. If you're in a group, why would you be in the aero bars? You sit upright. Because you've already got a draft in the group. And then the other thing is, what was the other thing? God dang it. I'm heading up to this bridge where we saw this huge diamondback water snake one time. Maybe, I think it might have rained down here recently because the road's still got water holes, potholes filled with water. I'm on White Switch Road, crossing the little creek channel. I wonder if Mud Monster Road is going to be impassable. I bet it is. And then, so they've instituted this rule, right? Women can't draft off of men, basically. That's the whole point of the rule. But, you know, if you can't draft off of people. Oh, I'm in a tree tunnel of shade. This feels so good. You can't draft off of somebody in a different race category. So pro men can't draft off of pro women. Pro women can't draft off of age group men. Age group men can't draft off of, you know, pro women. Whatever. Just make a rule that says you can't ride in aero bars if you're in a pack unless you're on the front. If you're on the front, you can ride aero bars. That's it. You know, how are you going to enforce it? Well, how do you enforce the rule where you can't punch somebody else in the face? You know what I mean? Like, it's a rule. People will report you for doing it. I have ridden thousands and thousands of miles by now, gravel, in aero bars, and the only times I've crashed is when I was not in aero bars. Like when I was riding side by side with Gary, I was riding upright on the bars, regular handlebars, not aero bars. So yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so anyway, you create this panic because people are like, oh, if I get dropped, I can't get dropped. So they make these really risky moves. And Hannah Shell's risky move event was, this is crazy. She said that somebody in a sauna like the week before the race said that they weren't sure, there's another woman, said they weren't sure if they were going to ride pro or amateur. And it's like, that's concerning, man. Like if you're going to ride in a pro wave, with Euro road riders and the people with the highest horsepower and their careers and paychecks on the line to pay their car payment, and their cell phone bill and keep their sponsors. Dude, you need to be pro caliber to ride up there with that. That is not a place to be dicking around on your Huffy. So if you're not sure, then you should not be doing it, And that bike handling skills off-road are like pretty easy for gravel if you race mountain biking. But let's say you come from the road and you don't mountain bike, holy crap, you're gonna cause accidents. So anyway, Hannah Shell's situation was, to keep a little bit of space between you and the person in front of you. Well, this other woman rode off to the side of the grass and then cut into that space, got in front of Hannah, cut into that space. This is all secondhand. But Hannah's pretty chill, very professional. So I don't think, and she told the story very plainly. So, and then that person wedged themselves in between Hannah and the girl in front of her. And you would know not to do that if you've done a lot of high-end gravel racing, because you don't know what's coming up next because you can't see. You just don't wedge yourself in like that. And then immediately they hit like a creek crossing or some kind of mud or something rough. And people slammed on their brakes and there's not enough time to stop. And so everybody crashed into the person in front of them because it was too jammed because of this panic. The person panicked and got themselves wedged in there, or else they were going to get dropped. And then, so that's like an inexperienced racer thing. But then there's still panic happening with the high-end pros like Hannah. Something's dead, it stinks, and there's vultures over there. Okay, we're crossing off of White Switch Road, over Highway 159, and we're approaching Mud Monster Road. It might be called Camp Road. And we're gonna see how far we get, because this turns into peanut butter mud, and it does not look hopeful, but we'll see. I'm going slow. Okay, dry. I don't like that. When it starts throwing up rocks with the mud, that's a bad sign. Okay, I think we're done. We're not doing this. Yeah, that's peanut butter mud. Be a good video shot though. I'm not gonna ride this. When your bike is leaving a mud track like that, that's not good. Okay, let's drink some fuel while we're here. And I'm riding kind of slower today, and I want this to be a 4-hour ride, not a 4.5-hour ride, so stop right here. Good example of good tire clearance. I could make it through this. I just don't feel like it. What happens is it throws rocks up into my shoe. All right. So yeah, with Hannah, because this is the biggest, most important race of the year, she's been training for it all year round, or leading up to this, whatever, for months. Then panic sets in with her, and she's an experienced top-end racer. And with the panic, started riding, I think she said with her handlebars twisted a little bit, because she's got to catch the group, And then immediately hit a big rock because of, and being in a panic situation and not having her head on straight. And then it gashed the tire so bad that she was out of the race, even though she tried everything to fix it. And then because it's the biggest, most important race in the world, and now you've had to drop out because of, things that weren't your fault, and you were like, she said she was at the top of her fitness, then the emotional devastation from that, it sucks too. Right? So there's too much pressure on this race. So another solution that they talked about was aid stations. This would help because there's ways to reduce panic, You could vet the racers, make sure they have a whole lot more experience before you get them into this race, before they can't ride elite in this race unless they've ridden so much gravel or they're a mountain bike experiencer. And then calming the race down. A lot of races, they'll have a big hill at the beginning to kind of stretch everybody out. That's called a selector. And they do that in off-roading with 4x4 trucks and Jeeps and stuff. Is if a course is rated a 9 out of 10 in difficulty, they'll put a 9 out of 10 obstacle at the beginning on purpose. And then if you can't make it over that obstacle, then you won't be 10 miles down the road and hit another 9 out of 10 and then need to get rescued. And then break your axles and then ruin your vehicle and cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. I got to sneeze. The corn's growing over here. You can hear the birds chirp. There's vultures. Like I said, there's some kind of roadkill over. And then, so Gravel Locos has this 2-minute stand down rule. where everybody has to stop for 2 minutes. And then what it does is it reduces the panic, right? Because there's some video footage of people throwing stuff at each other in the aid station rolling through because of the panic trying to get to this aid station. And somebody was saying that, 10 years ago, it was like, no, just 5 years ago, 3 years ago, a 30-second stop was fast. There's stops now. The guy that won didn't stop at all, at least through one aid station, just rolled through and grabbed sachet bags with his arm through, kind of like, they look like purses, with it's got food in it. And then I saw another one where it was 6 seconds of stopping. Well, you've created this panic situation where, let's say you didn't have that panic situation. Everybody had to stop for 2 minutes. And like I said, I've done this twice at Gravel Locos. You come in that aid station and you can really fix your bike. And then you can really not leave there with twisted handlebars, and then you've cleaned most of the mud off your bike. And then now for a while now, your ride is going to be safer again, and you're not going to cause an accident because your bike's all compromised with just shit. So, and then the fact that there's only 2 aid stations on this thing is wild, man. That's not much. And, I'm all for like high adventure. When you do bike packing, the what is it? The Unbound 3XL, which is 360 miles last year, there's no aid stations, right? And you got to go in and get your own food. You got to carry all your food and water at like gas stations and stuff. And that's interesting. But the fact that there's only 2 aid stations, if you're going to make a race, this all worked before this race got so crazy and people decided that this is the most important race ever on earth. And the thing is if you're going to say that this is going to be the most important race, freaking whatever, then you kind of need to like change the rules. So somebody, what's her name? She won a few years ago, wrote an article and suggested some of these things, right? And also, not combining the super pros coming in at the same time with the 100 milers, that are slow and like clogging up the course. And she, the hate in the comments was out of this world. People are like, you ruined this race, you pros coming in, and deal with it. You don't like it, deal with it, this is your own fault of your own creating, which is only half true, right? The racers are, let's say 10% at fault, but the race directors, the companies all investing all this money without like making the race, changing the race to deal with it at the same time has created a situation. So I was really surprised at the vitriol in there. That's a fancy word today. And okay, let's video. Y'all hear me video this Instagram post I'm about to put up. And let me turn off my headphones. So if it picks up my headphones as a mic, the sound quality sucks ass. All right, we are on Mud Monster Road, quite aptly named. It's been raining a lot lately. It might be called Camp Road. The Brazos River is in that tree line. I stopped just this far down it because we're starting to get peanut butter mud. And this bike is really cool. It's got tons of clearance, but we've only gone this far from that intersection right there to here. And you can tell that's my bike tire to here. And check out, I've got plenty of clearance, but for how long, And then what happens is it starts throwing gravel and rocks into your shoes, like into the sides, like in here. And then the next thing you know, you're not having fun anymore. And then it tears up your drivetrain and stuff. I mean, I got all this clearance, but see how this is all sticking? Like, that's sticky. That's like peanut. It's literally like peanut butter right now. Like it's the exact same texture, and it's just going to keep adding and adding and adding and adding. And then I can feel the bottoms of my shoes are starting to get heavy with the mud. So we're going to turn around and go back. But I thought I would just see like there's, and we're going to turn around and have a nice ride. Okay. Oh, the watch is killing it. So there you go, tell. You can probably see where I've been swiping it. It shows in color what zone you're in. I started it like an hour and a half after I started my bike computer, just for fun, just to see. But like green for what heart I'm in zone 1. It's kind of nice. And the mapping and all that other stuff. And we'll have a report on it soon. But anyway, we need to get going. And yeah, let's go. All right, I recorded that. And then we'll post that later. Let's turn around. You can go look at that again on Instagram. Oh, yeah. Yep. It started to rub against the frame. It's tighter on the left side. Well, I had it laying on its left. We're going to walk this for a second because I think it'll ride a little bit better. Another reason to load up on extra water when you can, I'm going to carry the rear tire up in the air. It's picking up. It's picking up mud. The rear tire doesn't have as much clearance as the front, and that's where I can feel it like just dragging. Seriously, this is like 100, 200 feet. Imagine being Unbound in 2023 and doing miles of this. Okay, we're gonna go in the water a little bit, get some of this. Yeah, the rear wheel is now stuck. Getting in some water. Front wheel is now stuck. Rear wheel's stuck again. Yep. Wow. Bouncing the tires, getting some of this mud off. It'll be okay. My other gravel bike has a paint stick in it. Now I'm just dragging the bike. It's the combination of the mud and then gravel together creates this wild mix of stuff. There's a big puddle right here, and I'm trying to roll my bike through it without getting my bike back into the mud again. I'm about to hit pavement, so this is okay right here. That'll knock that stuff out. Bang that stuff. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's get going again. That was fun. Oh, my shoes are going to be a mess. So we're going to have some mud being torn away by the tires against the frame sounds for a little bit. When it's peanut butter mud, it almost doesn't matter if you got wide tire clearance. You're just screwed. You'll get a little, like that 4x4 thing, you'll get a little bit further down the road before you get just jammed. Oh, I should have rinsed off my shoes. Next water puddle, I'm going to rinse off my shoes. All right. But wide tire clearance sure does help. I got it off faster. That was pretty quick, actually. It was jammed. Oh, it's Father's Day. And it was kind of fitting. I told Kai, my father passed away a couple of years ago. And I told Kai that his granddad, which Kai knew pretty well, he had Parkinson's, and then complications from Parkinson's made him pass away. That his granddad would be super proud that he got a job at REI because he was a big outdoorsman. My dad built his own snowshoes for no reason. Built his own boat, like a canoe with a sail, with a mast. He built a canoe with a mast from a kit. And our last camp out together, he brought a jungle hammock, like a Vietnam jungle hammock where it's got mosquito netting, and then cooked in the middle of the trail on the Lone Star Trail. And Kai was little. It was very fun. Last things that come to mind was, I was talking earlier about riding Zwift for the first time in a while. And apparently, Gary was telling me there's a setting in there where you can pick what kind of drivetrain you're running, like a 1x or a 2x, and then some other stuff. I did not know that. I've been riding apparently what's like one of the best drivetrains. It has like very tiny jumps between gears. It's got 24 gears. And so I was talking earlier, like, you know, there's a problem with training single speed like all the time. Is with the Pogacar, the UAE training thing is they do rides where they just always put down power. Well, you can't do that with single speed. But what's actually optimal for training is to do a lot of everything. Because not even in a race, but in a bike ride, a longer ride with your friends where you want to have a nice time and be able to keep up, there's going to be everything, you know? So riding a single speed all the time, you're going to detrain. I'm not even clipped in because it's mud. I thought I was clipped in. My foot just fell off the pedal. You're going to detrain being able to put down constant power because you're going to be coasting. With single speed, what you do is you train real high cadence and real low cadence, and bike handling skills and momentum, which I have this theory that Matthew Vanderpool is so good at a cyclocross. I'm like, I think I swear he trains on a single speed in his spare time. Here's some water on concrete. I'm going to use it to some mud. I'm in the full sun. This is not optimal. It's going to start getting hot. That's why I don't know if this water is even deep enough. I'm going to... Okay, yeah, it is. Some mud off. What I don't really care about, it's all the extra weight. I'm stomping around. What's so funny about riding out in the middle of nowhere is there's like never a car. It's so relaxing, you know, to just snot rocket right in the middle of the road. That's me. Chill. Okay, I think that'll help. Like I was saying, I've got a paint stick, but it's in my frame bag that's on my other gravel bike. I haven't gotten around to taking that frame bag off and putting it on this one. I would, I think, if I was doing a long event. Oh, which reminds me, Kai knows of a really cool long route that I got mud all over my fingers. It's like I wiped my butt with two fingers on one. And we might try to turn it into like a FKT. That would be kind of cool. I told Kai, all you got to do, you don't have to be good. You just have to be the first. Right? Dude, for Unbound, somebody was saying that they got 35th place or something like that. And that would have won them the race up until just 3 years ago. The speed that they went. That's how much better the bikes are getting. Half of it's the bikes, half of it is the pack going faster because they got Euro road racers in it now. I think there's an event called the Tracka that's a legit hard gravel, big gravel race, kind of like Unbound, I guess, in a way. Probably more technical. Because Europeans come over and they don't know how to ride American gravel. They get flats and you know, they ride it like roadies. Gravel, gravel, gravel. They get flats and then they're out. They're not running a big enough tire clearance. Red-shouldered blackbird right there. Don't dive bomb me. And then take some fuel here. Yummy. Hey, I'm moving a fuel bottle around. Holding one in my mouth. That tastes nice. But maltodextrin in bulk. And it's a much more smooth dose of flavor than table sugar. Climb approaching. So I think that there's the really good pros in Europe are now, European gravel racing is actually catching up with American. It was born here in America, in the Midwest, very refined here. What it takes to finish a race, like equipment wise and strategies and stuff, is very much like a polished science, sort of. You can still polish a turd, as they found out on Mythbusters. It's still a turd, but it's polished. So I think with Tracka and some other races, the Europeans are like, oh, coming over here with 38 millimeter tires, you know, ain't gonna cut it. And blowing up out of the race. This isn't a bike path, you know what I mean? Because Europe's been around for so long and so developed, they don't have this endless, like Australian outback, like America has, of just raw gravel. The Europeans are way better at riding in tight. And dude, watching gravel point of view racing camera footage, like from Justin McQuarrie and Drew, and watching a European racer, road racer, work his way up through a pack to get to the front is wild. They give 0 Fs, but they're good at it. They're not dangerous. They just push their way through the pack up to the front and talk the entire time, you know, coming up, you know. Okay, I'm feeling way better than last time. I think we're gonna make this route. Although my bike computer says it's 100 degrees. Next time I stop, we'll look on my watch to see the temperature. Okay, we're gonna have to stand and call. 32 RPM, 280 watts, 300 watts. I need to catch my breath. We're at the top. Climb complete. Something really interesting about rim brakes. For mountain biking, disc brakes are the best. When we switched over to using those, oh my God. Hands, it takes so much less pressure, so your hands don't get as tired, especially if you're doing marathon mountain biking. You know, the brakes are better. Gravel, I think you're in that gray area. It doesn't really matter. The rim is a big disc, you know. And yes, they'll perform worse if they're wet. But I mean, in gravel, like, it's not like mountain biking where you need brakes now or you're going to hit a tree head on and get decapitated. It's more like road. And so the brakes on this bike, because it's flat bar, and this is a budget build, because what we did is we took this bike, it was a drop bar gravel bike in its previous life for a couple of years when we got into gravel. And then Kai turned it into a commuter for college campus and a flat bar. Well, flat bar componentry is like super cheap compared to drop bar componentry. When you have drop bar componentry that's half decent, well, you got hydraulic and shifting all built, and brakes, all built into the hoods. And I need to drink more water or else I'm gonna get dehydrated. And that complexity all in one costs a lot more money. And a little bit of it is just marketing hype, ripping people off. But it's nice. Finally get a little bit of a break. That hill was something else, especially in a single speed. But shifting on flat bar and brakes on flat bar is cheap. So you can save some money. And then also, once you get over to like the basic entry level stuff, it doesn't take much, because I don't think this is very nice stuff on this thing. I got a Tektro, which could be nice, and a Diacomp on the other side, brake levers. They have adjustable cables, right? They have these like thumb dials on it. And when my front wheel started rubbing, while I'm riding, I can adjust the play, the slack in the brakes, and in the shifting, at the handlebars, manually. All of it. This bike doesn't, the shifter's still on this bike, even though I'm running single speed, I've still got the shifter up here. It doesn't do anything, it's numb, you can hear that. There's no cable hooked up to it, but it's got a barrel adjuster on it. So while you're on a long ride and things get a little out of whack, you got something rubbing, something's too tight or something's too loose, you can adjust this stuff while rolling. It's pretty much peak shifting. And then with the flat bar, definitely. And road, I mean, pretty much too. The shifting's gotten so good that it's just a click of a lever. It's almost as easy as pressing electronic buttons. And then you don't have to charge it. We need more water. Yeah. Oh, there's somebody up ahead. Is it a cyclist or a runner? Speaking of that, Kai's tried picking up running again. He got 2 runs in and his foot's injured. And he was an awesome runner. He won the 2 mile in 8th grade, like at regionals. Like smoked it. And I was like, yeah, dude. Because he hadn't run in a really long time. And I was like, yeah, dude, running is of all the sports, is the one when you get back into it, you're really going to feel it. And you just got to be patient. And Kai's had a lot of great coaching growing up. From me and he's been on a lot of kids' teams and stuff. And it's just like, something ain't right. Back off. Do something else. So, REI sells, just so y'all know, I think it's kind of interesting. If you just think REI sells like camping gear, they sell bikes, and the bikes are pretty freaking good. They do, I knew about this before he started working there, because we just got an REI in town. And I was like, oh, let me check up on all this. And side note, I think what we'll try with my watch. No, we'll try, I don't know. When is it going to start raining? Maybe I'll look that up on my phone. My watch will do an hourly forecast. I just don't want to leave the bike thing to go look at it, which might be a downside of this watch. But I don't know if the Garmin does that and the Polars do that too. So who knows? Aero position downhill on gravel. A lot of rain, so it's washed out and rough, but not crispy. It is pretty great that where I live, there's only one road that's only like maybe 1.5 miles total that gets bad if it rains with peanut butter mud. But REI sells Cannondale, so you can get yourself a Lachlan Morton special, a top stone. They sell road and gravel and mountain bikes, I guess. And then they sell mountain bikes, Salsa. So you could probably get a Salsa Spearfish there. That's a great mountain bike. And then there's a Salsa bike that's made specifically for the Great Divide. It's got the Great Divide map, the route on the down tube, on the underside of the down tube. Is it called a Cutthroat? I can't remember, but it's basically a drop bar mountain bike. All right. Looks like the wind's starting to pick up out of the south. We're going to get arrow. We drink some fuel. Oh, I'm right on track with fuel. Okay. Drink this last little bit of this fuel. The problem with putting out a podcast is sitting down and editing the audio, I'm just one guy. I don't have a team. And I like the creative nature of it, But when the audio isn't that great, it's kind of like, oh, we're picking up, oh man, we got some wind. Woo! This came out of nowhere. I bet it's going to start raining soon. I'm now down in arrow position, even though I'm doing like 10 miles an hour. I'm feeling a temperature drop. The little front's coming through. So, like, if the audio isn't fun to listen to, there's so many more fun things to do in life. And then you end up not editing the audio, and then you end up not putting out a show. And that's what made me so excited about the last audio I recorded. Was like, holy crap, this is so much better. It's actually fun to listen to. So I'm at a dead flat spot, running parallel to a railroad track. It's something I talk about every once in a while is people try too hard when they're in the arrow bars. When you're down in the arrow position, just got an alert on my watch about Amazon something or another. When you're down in arrow position, it can be, if you're a little bit overly slammed or you're not used to it, hard. And then people try too hard. They push just as hard as when they were sitting up. But it's actually a trick. When you're in the arrow position, it's so much faster that you don't have to pedal as hard. And you'll still be faster than if you were sitting upright, not even pedaling as hard. So let's say you're doing like 230 watts sitting upright, and you start going into a big headwind, and now you're doing like 15 miles an hour, 14, even 13, because the wind's really strong. You drop down in the arrow position, you don't need to put out 230 watts like you were. You could do 200 watts. And you'll go 14, 15 miles an hour instead of 12, 13. Even at lower power. And then that's how you end up sitting in the arrow position all day and actually going faster. This is a really strong headwind. Speak of the devil. Oh, back to Zwift. I was like riding indoors with my 24 gears, and I haven't ridden geared in a while, like several months probably, except for that one mountain bike time trial. And it was so nice to just put down power constantly and evenly. That bike has electronic shifting on it. So just go click, click, nice even power. Because what this interview I saw with some guys from UAE was one of their primary workouts. They have, like, let's say 4 or 5 types of workouts. One of them is to go out for a long ride and just never let up off the power. And you're going easy-ish, zone 2, but just never take pressure off the pedal. And what's funny is that stuff adds up. You're going downhill and you're only putting like 20 to 50 watts. I might turn here. I don't really need to go all the way down to that dead end. Oh, especially because it's starting to rain. Okay, we might put the recorder away. Let's get moving and we'll get under a bridge, which will sound cool. And then I'll put the recorder away. And then we can look at the radar and we can talk about that for a second. So Kai and I were out on a ride one time and I was like, hey, you want to try something different? Try not stopping, no coasting, basically. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Now there's times when you're in a turn and you'll get a pedal strike, but try never coasting. No matter what. It's funny, if you're a really good cyclist, you could do it for about an hour, like the first time. And then even if you pedal just lightly on the downhills and with the tailwinds, it's still like, it eventually gets to you. And it's a great way to turn your 3-hour ride, your 4-hour ride that you've kind of like plateaued on into something a little more challenging, and it'll advance you up another. It'll increase your FTP a little bit more. And also make you a more efficient cyclist. It's kind of like if you rode hills all the time and then you go do a race that's flat and downhill. It's so much easier. And like doing a race. We're almost to the bridge. Oh, strong crosswind. Doing a race where you've been training, let's say, never coasting. And then all of a sudden in the race, you can coast all you want, like you're drafting off people or going downhill. All of a sudden you're just like, whoa. And the race is so much easier for you than everybody else. And then you place way higher than you thought you would have. And same thing happens with single speed. My foot's locked into that pedal. I might want to rinse off that pedal. A little bit of water. Yeah, I'm directly under a bridge. So you can hear the traffic going overhead. A little bit of traffic going underneath here. We're still out in the middle of nowhere. Let's get a little bit more fuel. And I actually don't think it's going to rain just yet. I think we just got a little nibble of it. Okay, let me take off my sunglasses here. We're going to record this while we look at things. Since I turned on my watch, I've gone 14.5 miles. It looks like the screen locks itself unless you press a button so you don't accidentally touch the screen. That's probably a setting too. And then, which is kind of nice. I like that. It's got the time of day, got almost a full battery. So if we try to look at weather, let me see if I can do this. Will it take me out of the bike workout? I'm going to long press the ChatGPT button. What is the weather forecast for today? It's thinking. It's saying. I think it's having trouble connecting. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. It needs the internet. Let's make sure that app is open. But it didn't seem to drop me out of the workout yet. Yeah, I think the app might have crashed. Let's see. Garmin Connect does that too. I'm not all that. Let's try again. What time is it supposed to rain today? Response is taking longer than usual. There's times where ChatGPT is slow itself, so I'm not judging just yet. Let's go look. Let's see if I'm going to get caught in the rain using the my own on my phone. An hourly forecast. Oh, it's coming. I need to get home. Let's see. Yeah, it's starting to come. I need to book it home. Okay, so then the watch does not have radar on it. My phone does. But let's try this one last thing. If I go back, oh, it won't take me out. It uses it as a lap button. Yeah, I'm stuck in this bike ride. So I can't use other features on the watch. Let's see if I could do Open weather application. Okay, well it did that, but did it stop my workout? It's not showing me hourly, it's just showing me daily. Okay, now let's go back. Okay, so I can use voice commands to open stuff, but I can't use buttons to open stuff to get out of the bike computer thing. That's interesting. Open R weather application. There's an application on here that does like hour by hour that I downloaded called R weather, like, but with the letter R. Anyway, all right, let's get going. I'm gonna get off the mic because I need to ziplock this baby. It's been fun recording with you guys, and we'll see how all this turns out. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the show here. I got off the bike and started recording, and also before the bike ride, I started recording stuff onto the watch, the audios of voice notes, and brought them into the show, but I figured I would save that for another episode. For example, me, tomorrow morning I'm gonna go swim, hopefully, unless it's lightning still. It's storming again this evening, Sunday evening. But Monday morning, go swim, and then record audio between sets and put that into a show to see like how useful this kind of stuff is on the T-Rex 3. And by the time the next episode comes out, we should be getting really close to the Great Divide tour that starts in Canada and ends in the border of Mexico and New Mexico. That should be wrapping up, so we'll have some commentary on that and news. And also, Kai's home for the summer, and we're going to start looking at planning an epic bike ride and creating a route that is like next level. It's going to be so cool. So we'll start talking about that and about the gear and everything it would take to do something like that. And also, he's just started his job at REI, which if you're not from the United States, I don't know if they have stores outside the United States. It's incredible outdoor gear retailer with all the equipment to do everything outdoors. And so we're probably going to start eyeballing equipment that it would take to do that kind of thing. And, you know, what do we have left over from all of our years in Scouts, bike packing and bike racing already? And what would it take to move forward on that? That'd be pretty cool. And yeah, last thing is, just like last episode, I'm going to try to put this up on YouTube so you can go and comment on it and enjoy a conversation with other people about what you liked about the show, things that you really picked up in the audio, or things you want to talk about more. Let me know. The channel on YouTube is Zen Endurance with Coach Brett, or with Brett Blankner, or Zen in the Art of Endurance. However you want to type it in, it'll pop up. And go there and check out or you're listening to it right now, but make sure to leave some comments, not to boost the video or so, but to actually get some engagement with some of the other fans that are out there listening, and strike up a conversation. It's pretty fun. So I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to do a lot more like this. I'm so happy about how the audio quality came out that I'm so motivated to make more shows like this. This was fantastic. Glad we finally got the audio settings figured out correctly, and you and I can hang out more together on long rides and runs and between swim sets and all that good stuff. All right, everybody stay safe out there, work the uphills, cruise the downhills, and keep the rubber side down. Out.